But we have another one of these. So what's he want now? Hi-ho, silver linings. Okay.
Heard Netwatch is on the prowl, sniffing around here lately.
I'm certain I have no idea what you're talking about. Unfortunately, this thing I know nothing about is a problem for the VDBs. So much so, district power consumption has dropped by half.
Voodoo's troubles keeping you up at night? Mr. Hand's the altruist.
No, disruptions to the status quo keep me up at night. My concern grows when the seeds of chaos are sown. It's bad for business.
So what's this you got for me?
V, you're Dorothy. Dropped into a foreign land. You faced many obstacles and overcome them to see Hansen's Emerald City.
Metaphor's esoteric at best. Going anywhere with it?
Only toward a happy conclusion. You've labored diligently and earned your reward. Your very own silver slippers.
Okay.
By silver slippers, you mean?
A fitting end to our tale. Something that will spirit you home safely. You'll know what I mean when you see what I'm talking about. Soon.
Are you in this fairy tale? Let me guess, he's going to think he's the Wizard of Oz.
Got all the parts cast, don't you? What's your role in the story?
Why, the narrator, of course.
Figured as much.
Right. Well, your silver slippers await outside. I wish you safe travels, V. It's been interesting, if not to say peculiar.
So that's it for our biz together?
Who can say? For the time being, it certainly is. Please, no tears. And one last thing. Be wary of witches, the wicked and the good. Until next time, V.
Yep. Till then, Hands.
Okay. Why is this all this color? Find it weird there's a key card required. Okay, that's the blip of a car turning up. Yep, that's a car turning up. Quite nice.
I would have helped you. Homeless, okay?
Coming through. Okay, I don't get on with vehicles. Let's get out. Holster you. Journal. Wait a day. Okay. Let's go up here.
Who's this?
Oh, of course, because I redid the ending, all that stuff's happened again. Okay, first things first. We have a new gun. 200% headshot. Okay. Like you. You. 29. Then. Okay. So with that in mind, you're new. And okay, so let's try this. Let's go for that. Can we force the subject?
Tell me about Santo Domingo.
A lot of people tried to get a foothold here. Corpos, gangs. None of them made it. But real people live here in Arroyo and Rancho Coronado. Can't pull the wool over their eyes. We're the blood and guts of this city.
Why El Capitan?
The people, they're grateful. They show me respect because I put them first.
Wow, a true altruist.
Corpo world's a disease. Power's gotta get back in the hands of the people. And we'll do it. You'll see.
How's biz?
I don't care for the word biz. I call it work. Hard work. Honest work. And I can't complain.
We'll talk later.
Okay, so we've done all those dialogues. Over the edge. Okay. Something you recall, it seems Jago and Bennett are now working in tandem. I have no idea how you did it, but Dogtown.
Reports from the Badlands.
Okay.
Militech humanitarian convoy.
I'm gonna try something. Which this game is not going to like. So now we tie okay, got to the second part where you need to contact Ray's about. So waited a day for him, currently on 2 in-game. Had same buck, waited 23 minutes, then wait out in-game. Okay. Okay, wait 23 hours and then play the game. Oh, this is going to be a pain in the ass.
Band of nomad outlaws. Corporate security.
Okay, so I got to roam around. Oh, wait a minute. I wonder. Nope, nothing here. Okay, so that car's left there. You. Auto fixer terminal. I've never actually fiddled with one of these. Okay. Let's have a look at you.
Wait till I finish what I have to say.
Sort by default. Request backup. Are you it? No. But we now know what the icon looks like. Vehicle you can purchase. Okay. So let's go here. Right. 100 meters in front of me. Everyone was searching for Dave Marquez. Name's Falco. Is there something you want? Found BD. We're out of the biz, out of the spotlight, gone dark as scope stand coffee. Whatever you heard, the past is the past, not one we aim to dig into. How we did rummage around some in yours, V. The merc who popped out of thin air and took Night City by storm, and given your history with Arasaka, well, you and David got a lot more in common than you reckon. Right. Now, I'm sure you could track us down if you tried. That's why I gave you a knock first. My way of saying don't bother. Our 15 minutes might be spent. You still got time on the clock. Left something nice for you with El Capitan. Okay. That solves that problem. we'll come back and have a look at that in a second. Okay, we'll just run. Because it seems right to do that. All the way over there. Wonder what the gift is. Weapon? Cyberware? Can't resist something that looks orange. Okay, so what's the deal here? Almost there. Okay. His jacket. 2 items received. Oh no, 1. It's saying unavailable. Okay. I think oh, you again. I'm not quite finished. Kind of have a plan on how to wrap this up. But I must be getting close to the end of all the content that I'm interested in. I know I've locked myself out of the stealing cars, but I'm not much of a fan of that. And I guess at the end you probably get a rare car. And my driving ability is not that great, so I'm quite happy missing that out. But let's go and check in with our favourite vending machine. Which is here. Okay. Okay. You bugged again. Let's go here. And then we travel back. Can I throw it? Yep, I think I've bugged that. So, what I want to do... there. And as we're here, we go through the poo door. And roof. And no, is the right way. There we are. Oh, sit. Can I pass time? Yep. So, this has been my revisit to Cyberpunk 2077 with the new DLC and basically a 2.0 patch as well. The other day I was thinking about this, and my PC is very much different in regards to what's in it when I first played this game, so it feels pretty crazy that I've been able to go back to this game and run it on the top rasterized settings with no DLSS enabled. I've actually got DLAA enabled, so I'm getting NVIDIA's own anti-aliasing done at 1080. Why do I play at 1080? It's because my screen that I use for recording and streaming is a 1080 panel, which I quite like the idea of because it lets me run games without using DLSS at 1080, which I think makes a better quality video. I will admit, I think they did very well on this rebuild of the game, and adding new content to it. I quite like the DLC. It is a shame that it's going to be the only one that they add. And it's also interesting the fact that there is apparently a Cyberpunk 2077 2 on the horizon, and they're going to be moving away from the REDengine, which is their own in-house engine, and go over to Unreal. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I don't think I'll be able to play that game at 1080 without DLSS. I think the amount of content that they added to the game is definitely worth it. Obviously, it increases the level cap from 50 to 60. You get a whole new load of gigs that unlock sequentially as you make progress through the main story of the DLC. It's nice the fact that the DLC has its own credits, and the fact that not only does the DLC have an ending, but they actually put a new ending into the game, giving us an option that we didn't have before, which is for V to live, but at the cost of Johnny. Yeah, still not sure where I am. I think still the best ending. It's probably the Nomad ending. It's got so much work on it done that it just feels right. And the fact that Johnny goes onto the net, he could come back in a cameo role, which I find interesting and provocative. I was thinking about this as well the other day, trying to think about what I was going to say about this game. And one of the things that I found very interesting is the fact that when you start a new game, you have 3 paths in front of you. Nomad, Street Kid, and Corpo. And they all start in front of a mirror. And the games end on seeing your character from the outside. So it makes me think that, you know, the way this story kind of works in this game is you play the hybrid version of V, of having 2 personalities. You kind of get involved at a junction point just before things kick off and you get a feel for the world, and then your role in the game is to play as the V-Johnny combo, and at the resolution of the game the player surrenders their control of the character to its own destiny in a way. And that's why we're treated to the third person perspective. You can kind of look at it like that entire viewpoint where in Metal Gear Solid 2 Raiden throws away the dog tags. This game has had a lot of negativity surrounding it, especially at the beginning. I was lucky the fact that I didn't buy into sort of the hype. I didn't really pay any attention to the promises that had been made about this game. So I had 0 expectations kind of going in. And for me, that was good. It made the game work for me, not having expectations. There's a lot of games that I've played in the past where I've had expectations and nothing really gets onto that level. I suppose the closest one to like promoting itself and then being able to deliver would be Metal Gear Solid 3-4. But that in itself is a completely different game to this. It's interesting. It is nice the fact that CD Projekt Red didn't give up on the game, that they worked on it, that they revamped it and got it into a point where it was fixed. It's not perfect still, but it's a heck of a lot better than what it was. And what I've actually found myself doing is, in my off time, I've actually started a new character, because the way the characters work as you level them up is a little bit more different. I've kind of like just gone heavily into smart weapons and hacking for this playthrough, which in my opinion is quite overpowered for what you can do. It's not as overpowered as it used to be, but it gets the job done. It means I haven't got to worry about working out other mechanics in the way that you play. I can just transpose the way that I played it over to this. With the smart weapons, it just makes it easier on me on aiming, because, you know, trackball. So it's interesting from that point of view, and it's nice restarting the game and going through it again. I don't think I'd do this on the channel again, even if they did another update to it. But it's definitely something that they should be proud of what they did on this game. And it just speaks to a completely different mindset. I mean, I can obviously draw parallels of a company of late who has delivered a game that has definitely not met expectations in many ways. And they will not go through the effort of doing what CD Projekt Red did with this game. The way that they're looking at it is they've put the game out there and leaving it open to the modders, which I feel is very lazy. It's definitely an interesting one. I do hope there'll be other projects in the future where they can release something in an okay or damaged state and they actually work to repair it. A great example in recent years that you can look at is No Man's Sky, how that totally fell on its face when it first released, and the efforts that they've taken to get the game back and rework it and innovate and add new content, new modes to the game. So yeah, it is nice when a developer will take the time to address issues and work on them over a long period of time, because it's something that a lot of developers don't do. You can look at recent playthroughs that I've done, like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and that game has been out for quite some time now, and there are still bugs in it and graphical glitches that should be easy fixes. With this, in a sense, Shadows of the Tomb Raider is a much more simpler project because it's more a linear path that you follow in the story. When it comes to RPGs, I'm kind of okay with a quest bugging every now and again, like demonstrated with Brandon, the vending machine. So yes, I'm glad that I did this, and I'm glad that CD Projekt Red put the work in that they did. Never really played any of the Witcher games or got on with them. I think the most I ever played was about 45 minutes of The Witcher 2, and The Witcher 3 I would just load up to see how pretty it looks and watch the intro, and then that'd be my lot, because I kind of like to see graphical improvements in games. So yes, I do recommend this DLC. If you've been watching this series and you've got Cyberpunk owned, it is worth revisiting it. It's more interesting to me than a lot of games I've played in recent. I mean, like I said, I'm just playing this in off time now, so there is definitely something here that I only find in this game, and the way it is now, it just lends itself to so many different ways that you can play it. Narratively speaking, there is a bit of choice in there, but not too much. The main choice comes in how you build your character, where you put your points, what weapon strategies are you going to apply. One last thing that I would like to talk about is, whilst doing this series, YouTube has a habit of putting in my recommended section in YouTube things related to videos I'm uploading. And so for the last couple of weeks I've been getting a lot of videos talking about obviously Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty, which I haven't been looking at the reviews or anything like that, but what I've been finding interesting is the lore videos. And there's a channel out there, if I remember to, I will link it in the description, and he did a very interesting video which definitely points the idea that Johnny is an unreliable narrator about his own past. This video that I watched, it's only about 10-15 minutes long, but it makes a really solid case that the Johnny Silverhand character that we deal with both is and is not the real Johnny Silverhand. His memories have been toyed with. So, like I say, I'll put a link into the channel and probably a link into that exact video that I'm talking about, because it is an interesting setting. And I'm very curious to what CD Projekt will do going forward. On that note, I'm gonna say thanks for watching. See you next time. Have a good one.